Think about the last time you lost something you genuinely cared about.
Like a family heirloom, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Or a wedding ring. Or, I mean, even a person who just vanished from your life without an explanation.
Right.
Human beings have this tendency to build like little mental shrines to the mystery of that absence. We just obsess over it.
We really do.
And over decades, the absence itself becomes this uh, physical, heavy thing we carry around.
Calcifies.
Yeah.
The psychological focus just kind of shifts over time, you know?
Right.
You actually stop mourning the specific details of the thing that was lost, and you start mourning the shape of the hole it left behind.
Wow, yeah. We acclimate to the specific dimensions of our grief until it just feels normal.
Exactly. But imagine if 30 years later, that exact lost thing washes back up on your front porch.
Just sitting there.
Not aged a single day, not ruined by the elements at all, just perfectly intact, sitting there as if no time has passed.
Your mental shrine is suddenly completely useless.
You are forced to deal with the impossible physical presence of the object rather than the familiar comfort of its ghost. It entirely shatters the reality you spent 3 decades building.
Welcome to the deep dive. That deeply unsettling scenario is the foundation of what we are exploring today.
It's a great premise.
It really is. We're looking at a brand new film that premiered to massive acclaim at the Venice Film Festival, and it's hitting U.S. theaters in just 3 days on June 19th, 2026.
Right.
It is called Rose of Nevada.
Written, directed, edited, and scored by Mark Jenkin.
He does it all.
He really does. For anyone tracking, contemporary avant-garde cinema, you might know him as the filmmaker behind Enos Men and Bait.
So the critical analysis we are pulling from today describes this film as a cinematic seance.
I love that phrase.
Same. And our mission today is to explore the profound questions this movie raises about grief, the nature of time, and what we owe the past.
And it manages to do all of this without getting bogged down in, typical sci-fi mechanics.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the cold open of this film is an incredibly eerie piece of storytelling.
It really sets the tone.
It drops you right in. Mid-conversation, no swelling orchestral music. 30 years ago, a fishing boat called the Rose of Nevada vanishes.
The entire crew is just gone.
Gone. Then one morning, the boat drifts back into the harbor.
Unrotted.
Completely unrotted. It's totally unexplained. It looks like it just stepped out for a quick afternoon voyage and came right back, ignoring 3 decades of reality.
But before we analyze the sheer weight of that returning boat, we have to examine the deep lingering wound of the place it returned to.
Right, the village.
Yeah, we are in this remote Cornish fishing village, and Jenkin establishes the absolute devastation of this place in the first 10 minutes without relying on a single line of exposition.
I want to pause on how he achieves that, because the visual storytelling is doing heavy lifting here.
Oh, absolutely.
The source notes the film is shot entirely on a 16mm Bolex camera.
Which is fascinating.
Now, I have to admit some skepticism here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, in 2026, when you can shoot a movie in ultra-high definition on a smartphone, why use an archaic, clunky camera from the mid-20th century? Is it actually adding anything, or is it just a director showing off a retro aesthetic?
No, I get that, but it is entirely foundational to the movie's thematic weight.
Okay, how so?
Well, a Bolex isn't just an old camera, it is a mechanical wind-up device.
Like a toy?
Kind of, yeah. It doesn't use batteries. You literally have to crank a spring motor by hand to shoot.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. And because of that mechanism, you can only shoot in very short bursts, maybe 20-something seconds at a time. It requires grueling, tactile, physical labor to operate.
Oh, so the physical struggle of making the movie mirrors the physical struggle of the fishermen in the narrative.
Precisely that. The gritty, high-contrast grain of 16mm film makes everything look so weathered. You get these lingering close-ups of rotting nets, rusted chains, and abandoned moorings.
It's very bleak.
Very. You see massive, empty pubs that clearly used to be the beating heart of a thriving community. The camera just forces this sense of stagnation. It's a village that lost its industry, lost half its population, but kept going simply because leaving felt like a final surrender.
The source text highlights a fascinating dual tragedy here. 30 years ago, the fishing economy dried up. The fish just stopped coming.
Right.
But that exact same year, the Rose of Nevada vanished with its crew.
Yeah, the timing is crucial.
And in the collective memory of this village, those are no longer 2 separate tragic events. They have fused together.
They're synonymous.
Exactly. The departure of the boat and the departure of their luck are viewed as the exact same moment in time.
So when that boat suddenly drifts back into the harbor looking pristine, the village's reaction is deeply revealing.
How do they react?
Well, the critical text makes a crucial distinction here between understanding a phenomenon and believing in one.
Okay.
The villagers don't care how a wooden boat defied 30 years of decay. They aren't trying to reverse engineer the physics of a temporal anomaly.
Right, they aren't scientists.
Exactly. They just need to believe in what the anomaly represents.
They view it as an omen. The boat has returned, which must mean their luck has finally returned with it.
Yes.
It makes me think of a gambler who has been on a 30-year losing streak. You know?
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, they lost the house, the savings, the family. Then one day, they find the exact lucky coin they lost the day the massive streak began.
They aren't questioning where the coin has been.
Exactly. They are treating a ghost ship like a magical fix for a systemic economic collapse, because believing in a superstitious omen is so much easier than accepting the cold finality of their loss.
The village is projecting decades of desperate, unresolved hope onto this empty vessel.
Which is a lot of pressure for a boat.
It is, but that creates an immediate narrative friction. If this boat is viewed as a sacred relic of returning luck, stepping aboard feels almost like a sacrilege.
Right. Who actually has the nerve to fire up the engine and take it back out to sea?
Exactly.
Let's look at the three men who sail out. First, you have the captain, played by Francis McGee.
He's brilliant in this.
He is this deeply weathered, silent figure. He exudes this intense aura that he knows exactly what is happening, but he has simply decided not to speak on it.
He is the anchor for the audience.
Yeah, but the two men who join his crew could not be more different from each other.
Let's start with Liam, played by Callum Turner.
Oh, okay.
Liam is a drifter. He is outgoing and charming, but it is a thinly veiled facade. He is running from an unnamed past.
They don't say what he did.
The film refuses to explicitly spell out what he did, actually, but we know he is seeking the vast, isolating distance of the sea as an escape mechanism.
He needs the ocean because it takes him away from the land.
Precisely.
On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have Nick, played by George MacKay. Here's where it gets really interesting.
It really does.
Because the catalyst for Nick getting on this ghost ship is absurdly mundane. He tried to fix a leaking kitchen roof in his house where he lives with his wife and young kids. He fell right through it, leaving a literal man-sized hole in the ceiling.
Just a total disaster.
Yeah, and he is dead broke. He cannot afford to fix it, and his family is currently staring up at the open sky from their kitchen.
The source analysis draws heavy attention to Nick's motivation here, noting how brilliantly it grounds the entire sci-fi premise.
It's so relatable.
It is. Nick isn't looking for a grand adventure. He isn't searching for spiritual enlightenment on the high seas. He is a guy who desperately needs a paycheck to patch a ceiling and feed his kids.
I have to say, it completely subverts what we expect from this genre.
How so?
Think about the massive, mind-bending, time-slip mysteries we usually see. The inciting incident is usually a scientist making a breakthrough, or an explorer seeking the unknown.
Right, something epic.
Here, the catalyst for tearing a hole in the fabric of time is a botched DIY home repair project.
It is painfully ordinary.
And because it starts in such a recognizable working-class reality, the supernatural elements hit the viewer with much more force.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Both Nick and Liam board that boat for completely earthbound reasons. Escape and cash.
Right.
They sail out, and the bizarre thing is, the voyage is highly successful. They pull in a massive catch.
So they get what they wanted.
Exactly. They turn around and head back to the harbor, expecting a payday. And this is where the film's reality entirely fractures.
They pull back into port, and the reality they left behind has been completely overwritten.
It's jarring.
That massive half-empty pub we discussed earlier. It is packed to the walls. It is loud. The village is buzzing with a vibrant life it hasn't seen in decades.
The abandoned moorings are full of boats.
Where rusted equipment looks brand new.
And the true horror of the realization sets in for Nick when he sprints back to his house.
Oh man, this part.
He bursts through the door, looks up, and the man-sized hole he just made in the ceiling is gone.
Just gone.
The plaster is perfectly intact. Furthermore, the house is being lived in by total strangers.
They haven't just sailed out into the ocean. They have sailed 30 years into the past, arriving in the exact week that the original crew of the Rosa Nevada disappeared.
It's a huge twist.
Now, I want to challenge the execution of this, because the source points out there is zero digital spectacle here.
None at all.
Wait, a time travel movie in 2026 with no visual effects?
Correct.
Audiences are conditioned for Marvel-level CGI, glowing portals, or at least visual distortion. How does a director pull off a timeline shift without making it look like a cheap stage play?
By relying heavily on auditory displacement.
Okay, tell me more.
Mark Jenkin uses a technique called post-sync sound. That means practically all the audio, every footstep on the deck, every breath, the crashing of the waves, was recorded and added after the fact in a studio by Foley artists.
It creates a subtle disconnect between what your eyes are seeing and what your ears are hearing.
Yes, and that slight uncanny valley effect makes the past feel incredibly dense.
Oh, that makes sense.
The critic notes that it makes the environment feel like it has a specific, oppressive smell and a distinct temperature. Jenkin doesn't need a CGI portal because he uses editing to force the transition.
There is one visceral cut highlighted in the source. It cuts from Nick falling through a ceiling in the modern timeline, his body dropping through the plaster, and his boots slamming directly onto the hard wooden deck of the boat in the past.
It's clean, strange, and undeniable.
That is an amazing way to handle time travel without a flux capacitor or a wormhole.
It's very grounded.
It feels environmental. It's like walking into a room smelling stale beer and cigarette smoke and suddenly realizing you have somehow stepped inside a physical, living photograph from 30 years ago.
That's exactly what it feels like.
The door's locked behind you. You're just trapped in the frame.
Stepping into the past is disorienting enough, but the true emotional horror of this film, the real engine of the narrative, is who the people in that living photograph think these two men are.
Because the villagers see Nick and Liam walking off that boat, and they recognize their faces.
Yes, they do.
But they do not see time travelers. They see the original crew of the Rosa Nevada that never came home.
What's fascinating here is how the film assigns these mistaken identities.
It's not random.
No, it doesn't feel like a random mix-up at all. It feels punishingly specific to the emotional baggage these men brought on board.
Let's look at Liam first.
Right. The village mistakes him for a man named Alan.
Okay.
In this timeline, Alan is a father who abandoned his wife and his child right before the boat originally sailed.
Oh, wow.
He walked out, vanished with the crew, and never faced any accountability for the devastation he caused.
I am trying to wrap my head around the psychological toll of that for Liam.
It's immense.
He is a drifter who literally got on this boat to run away from his own unnamed past. Now he is forced to wear the history of a genuinely bad man.
Yes.
He has to look at the face of a wife and a child who think the husband who abandoned them has finally come back. Does the source material explain how an actor even approaches playing a man who is pretending to be a monster just to survive?
It does. The source actually praises Callum Turner's performance precisely because of that friction.
That must be so hard to play.
It is. He has to balance the instinct to defend his own character with the necessity of playing Alan's guilt. He is asked if he can somehow correct the harm that the real Alan caused.
Right.
Can you step into the shoes of a terrible person and offer an apology that isn't yours to give?
That is so heavy. And then we have Nick, whose situation is arguably even more agonizing.
But it really is.
The village mistakes Nick for a fisherman named Luke. Luke was supposed to be on that doomed voyage 30 years ago, but he missed the boat and survived.
Right.
But the crushing survivor's guilt of living while his friends vanished completely consumed him, until eventually Luke took his own life.
So Nick, a guy who just wanted to fix his roof, is standing in the living room of his own house, but it's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Luke's grieving parents are living there, and they are looking at Nick, weeping, believing that their dead son has somehow come back to them.
I want to pose this directly to you, the listener, right now. Put yourself in Nick's shoes.
It's an impossible situation.
You are standing in front of two elderly, broken-hearted parents who are weeping with joy because they think their son is alive. What do?
Right.
Do you shatter them all over again by telling the truth? Do you say, I'm a time traveler, your son is dead, and this is a cosmic mistake?
That would break them.
Or do you swallow your own reality and live a lie just to give these people a few days of peace?
It is an impossible trap, because to live that lie means abandoning your own truth.
Completely.
Nick has to play the role of a resurrected son, knowing full well that his real wife and his real children are sitting in a house 30 years in the future, staring at a hole in the ceiling, waiting for a father who hasn't come home.
The film stops being a time travel mystery and becomes a profound study of consequence.
It really does.
And Jenkin doesn't script huge melodramatic speeches for these moments.
Yeah.
The camera just watches George MacKay and Callum Turner process the impossible, crushing weight of the roles they've been handed in real time.
This raises an important question, and it's one the film expertly builds toward.
Which is?
When an audience is faced with these agonizing choices, our natural instinct is to search for the escape hatch.
Oh, for sure. We want to know how the characters fix the timeline, repair the paradox, and get back home.
Exactly. We want the sci-fi safety net.
But the film absolutely refuses to offer a simple exit.
It really refuses.
There's no magical incantation. There's no way to, reverse the polarities on the boat's engine to send them back to the future.
No.
The time slip that brought them there is just the wood of the boat, the salt of the water, and the fog. It does not come with an instruction manual. The ending of the movie is fiercely, deliberately unresolved.
And that lack of resolution is vital to the film's philosophy.
How so?
As the critic points out, if the film gave them a clean way home, it would instantly reduce it to a standard genre thriller.
Right, it would just be a puzzle to solve.
Exactly. Instead, it posits a much more haunting idea. The boat didn't return to the future because the village had suffered enough and finally deserved some luck.
It returned because the past needed something from the present.
Yes.
The narrative of 30 years ago had a terrible, unresolved ending. A suicide, an abandoned family. The universe, or time itself, demanded raw material to correct it.
And Nick and Liam were simply the only available raw material.
They were drafted by history to fix a broken timeline.
They didn't choose this mission.
No, they were conscripted by the sheer gravitational pull of other people's grief.
Right. And whether they ever get back to their own lives is left entirely ambiguous. The film suggests that maybe some doors only open one way, and once you step through to fix someone else's past, that timeline closes around you permanently.
The lack of free will in that concept is terrifying. You just become a patch for someone else's historical wound.
It really is.
So what does this all mean? When you strip away the ghostly boat and the temporal anomaly, what are we actually looking at?
We are looking at a story that isn't really about the mechanics of time travel at all.
No.
It is about the heavy, unyielding cost of the past. It is an exploration of the profound responsibility of walking into someone else's grief and having to decide what you owe them, even at the expense of your own life.
It frames grief not just as an emotion, but as an environment.
Yes.
And once you find yourself inside that environment, there are rarely any clean, easy ways to navigate out. You simply have to survive the weather.
It is a staggering piece of work.
It really is. Just a quick reminder, Rose of Nevada hits select U.S. theaters on June 19th. It is a Film 4 and BFI production.
Highly recommend it.
If you are someone who loves slow, methodical cinema, mysteries that refuse to hold your hand, or just exploring the concept of grief dressed up as a fantasy thriller, this is a must-see film.
The source text asks a question that we want to pass along directly to you.
Oh, yes.
So between Nick and Liam, whose situation broke you more, being forced to play a dead son or being forced to carry the sins of an absent father,
Both are awful.
they're two completely different kinds of impossible burdens, and we would love to know where your empathy landed.
Seriously, take a moment to weigh in on that.
Mm-hmm.
As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over, building on the haunting final lines of the critique we read today.
Go for it.
The source noted, the boat always comes back. The question is, what time does it bring with it?
A chilling concept to leave on.
It really is. Think about this. If a vehicle or relic or some lost token from your own past suddenly drifted back into your life today, perfectly intact and defying all logic, what unresolved grief or unfinished business do you think it would demand that you fix?
Wow.
Would you be ready to pay the cost of stepping back into that reality? Thank you for joining us today, and remember to keep questioning the stories around you until our next deep dive. Take care.